Hey everybody, it's Dave in the TheClaremontInn kitchen. We are working on our cooking dinner party series. Again, we have a brand new recipe that we're going to do today. It's a very popular recipe. It is a potato gratin dish. We're going to use russet potatoes and we are going to dry saute some mushrooms today. We'll show you those techniques, and then we're going to use a little bit of heavy whipping cream and Gruyere cheese and make a wonderful potato gratin with sauteed mushrooms today. Okay, so we'll be getting cooking dinner party mushrooms in a potato gratin with Gruyere cheese. The first thing we did was wash the mushrooms and drain them really dry and patted them dry with a paper towel. Now we're just going to cut them into uniform slices and we're going to dry saute these. And dry saute is because a mushroom is 98% water. You can cook them without any oil or fat or butter or anything. They give up their own liquid and they make a wonderful little flavor, and then they absorb that liquid back into the mushrooms and they have an incredible flavor. So the way we do that is we slice them up, toss them in a big skillet, generously salt them because that helps pull the liquid, the water out of them, and then we just cook them until they squeak in the pan. So that's going to be the mushroom stuffing and to go in the potato gratin. So here we go. And to make a potato gratin, you can either slice these potatoes really thinly yourself, you can use a food processor or a mandoline. I'm only making a batch for about 6 or 8 people tonight, so I'm probably going to use a food processor, but I was going to show off and use a knife here to get started. This is a really simple recipe, but it is to die for. People come back for this time and time again. And again, the ingredients are going to be russet potatoes that we have peeled here, the sliced mushrooms that we're going to dry saute, salt and pepper, heavy whipping cream, and top that off with some Gruyere cheese. Now, how bad can that be, folks? Okay, we're going to be over at the stove dry sauteing these mushrooms, and then we will assemble this here in just a minute. Okay, we're going to dry saute the mushrooms, and then we can assemble our potato gratin. And again, we're just going into a dry pan, no oil, no anything, and a generous shake of salt on there. And just kind of let those get started, and as soon as they get hot, they'll start giving up their own liquid, and we'll be back as soon as that. As you can see, the mushrooms are giving up their liquid. They're nice and wet, and they're just going to simmer away here until they are nice and done. As we assemble this, the technique that you're going to learn is how to make the potatoes absolutely wonderful, because we're going to toss them in a big pan in a bowl with the heavy whipping cream so we get the potatoes coated really well. We'll put down a thin layer of potatoes, a layer of cooked mushrooms, another layer of potatoes, enough cream in there to cover them, top it with salt and pepper as we're layering that, and the Gruyere cheese. It goes in the oven for about an hour until it's nice and golden brown. They can actually be made ahead of time and just reheated in the oven about 20 minutes before you're ready to go to dinner service. That's what we're going to be doing here today. It's about 3 o'clock. These will come out about 4:30. And we're just going to rest them, and they will be wonderful when they get hot. You can see the pan is, bottom of the pan here is coated with mushroom liqueur. And we're just going to let that cook back into, the water cooks away and the flavor goes back into the mushrooms. Okay, we're going to cook those till they squeak in the pan, and then we will assemble the gratin. And the mushrooms are just about dry. They're going to go just a couple more seconds here. You can see how nicely colored they are, full of flavor. And then we will flip over to the counter and assemble our potato gratin. And that is dry sauteed mushrooms. Okay, we're back with these potatoes that I sliced by hand almost. All right. And you see we just sliced them all a nice 1/8 inch thickness about right there. And here's the tip of the day. we want to cover these with heavy whipping cream, and you want to put enough heavy whipping cream on here to coat them really, really well. And the easiest way to do that is just to stir these up, because if you get every side of each potato covered up, these bake together and they are wonderful. If you just pour the cream over them, you get layers of potato and layers of cream, and you don't get it in between them. So we just put them in here and work them around a little bit so they're like wonderful creamy mess, a wonderful creamy mess, and that they're all coated. Put about half of those in the bottom of the pan. We want to flatten those out like that, and now I've got a nasty little finger here. Okay, we're going to shake a little bit of salt, smooth that out, crack some pepper on there, and we'll layer in our sauteed mushrooms. Lots of mushrooms today. Level that out. Top these off with the potatoes. Flatten that out. And again, we want to touch that with a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. And we want to add just a little bit of more cream so we have enough cream to coat everything nice. And then we have some Gruyere cheese to sprinkle on the top. We want to get that down. See how we got cream in the edges. We got a full pan here today. That looks perfect. And then we're going on here with a nice topping of Gruyere cheese. And that is your potato gratin. Hot oven, 375 for about an hour, sometimes an hour and 15 minutes, just until a fork goes in, a paring knife goes in, and you know the potatoes are nice and done and baked together. You want the cream to be set, and then they can be brought out and rested and reheated right before service. And there you have potato mushroom gratin. Okay, and here is our potato mushroom gratin. And you can see it boiled over just a little bit. I had it really full in there, and so it made a little bit of a mess in the oven. But look at this. The cheese is perfect on top. The knife just drops right in there, and the cream has all been absorbed and cooked into the whole deal. We'll just set this aside on a rack and let it cool off. And again, we can warm that up about 15 to 20 minutes before we go to dinner service tonight. And we will have a luscious potato Gruyere potato gratin stuffed with mushrooms.